Welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something that is a topic that I know hits a lot of people when they're first getting started. And that is the game of visibility. And we all know that as we're getting started in building our businesses and as we're going down the path, of building our brand and getting people to be aware of what it is that we do and who we are and what we're about, that we all know that we have to be invisible. We have to be able to be found by people. We have to be able to be seen, because if no one sees us, no one will ever buy our stuff. No one will ever hire us. No one will ever come in and get us and hire us and pay us for what our expertise is. And as a result, we know that we have to do this. We have to get out there. We have to make ourselves known. And yet, so many people, especially when they're first getting started, don't do it. They don't go on social media. They're not posting. They're not putting things out on a consistent basis. They're not picking a platform and coming out and putting things out there. And we have to ask ourselves why. And a lot of the reason why is because there's a fear that's underlying it. There's a fear of, I'm nervous going online and doing a video like what I'm doing right now. I'm nervous about posting things. I'm nervous about putting content out every day. And some of it is the work. Certainly, some of it is the amount of effort and the amount of work involved in doing these things, because these things can take time until you get a system built up. But you also have to know that there's something else behind a lot of that, and that's just the fear of being out there. And this is something that I think is true for all of us, because what's really stopping us most of the time isn't just the act of doing it. It isn't just the act of going live on a video. It isn't just the act of posting something on social media. It's the fear of being judged. It's the fear of being criticized, the fear of being rejected. We all have that. We all post something and we'll put something on one of the platforms and we'll do it. And we're like, oh man, was that a mistake? Should I not have said that? Should I have not have done that? What if I get completely slammed? What if there was a typo? What if there was this or what if there was that? What if people are going to attack me for what I believe or what I say? And there's this whole level of fear that comes from that. And I think we all need to address that. We all need to be honest about that. And we need to start asking ourselves the question, where does that fear come from? Where does that fear originate from? And it's going to be different for each one of us in our own lives. It's going to be different. There are going to be different reasons that you are afraid of doing it than when I'm afraid of doing it. But frequently, what it ends up coming from is that somewhere in our past, we did post something. We did speak in front of an audience. We did put ourselves out there with our beliefs, and it didn't go well. Maybe, it was when you were a kid. And, when we're in school, we all have those times where the teachers make us give a speech, right? We have to go and present whatever it is for our class. We have to do a class presentation to the other peers, our other fellow students, and we have to go out and do that. And we put a presentation together, and maybe it didn't go well. Maybe we fumbled our way through it. Maybe we got lost partway through what we were supposed to say. Maybe we got nervous and we started fumbling our words and we didn't do things as well as we could have. And our fellow students started laughing at us and making fun of us, and we became the butt of a joke for a day or two. And, maybe a nickname got associated with, what happened during our presentation, and we got made fun of, and it was humiliating and embarrassing. And that memory and that pain sticks with that experience, the memory of standing in front of somebody and looking foolish. Or maybe it wasn't us. Maybe we saw somebody else get in front of the room. Maybe we saw someone else get up there, give a presentation and do poorly, and as a result get picked on heavily because of it. Maybe you went online and you posted something about your faith or about your political views. We all know how that goes. No matter what, if you're going to post things politically, you're going to make somebody mad. I don't care what it is that you say or what it is that you put out there, unless you've eliminated everyone of your followers who potentially disagrees with you. You're going to tick some people off. You're going to offend people. And in the world that we live in, especially now, you're going to get attacked and you're going to get beat up. Or, I even had a time a while back where I had a person who I got into a debate about a basketball player. And it was the silliest thing in the world, but it got a little heated. And I was just like, why did I do this? Why did I get engaged in this debate with this person? Because now it's getting a little testy about different things, about things that are going on, and about why this player is better and why that one isn't. And it was just like, my word, this was just nothing. It didn't need to be any of this. And yet it creates a negative feeling associated with doing that. So, and we watch other people do it and they get attacked and they get ripped apart. Somebody makes a statement about something. I believe this and I'm for that. And boy, here it comes. And especially, we all know if you say something with referring to a certain individual whose name starts with a T, boy, that is really a lightning rod. You are really asking for thunder and lightning to be rained down from the heavens on whatever side you take relating to that. And it becomes this like, wow, I'm better off just not saying anything. I'm better off just not commenting. I'm better off not posting. And that impacts our ability to become visible in what it is that we're doing. So we need to take the time. We need to understand why we are doing this. We need to understand where that fear is coming from. Why are you afraid? When you look at the different things in your own past, or maybe the stories that you picked up by observing others, because I've had times where I've seen somebody post something and I go, oh boy, here it comes. And sure enough, you check that post later on and it turned into a fist fight, like an online fist fight, people fighting and yelling with each other. And it just becomes this like, whew, wow. Now, there is wisdom in knowing that there's levels in here that you need to approach it from, and you need to go down this pathway and be willing to stand for certain things and avoid other things. And they need to be related to what it is that you're doing and why is it that you're posting. Because I see this a lot as well, is that when you start posting, a lot of times people muddy up the waters. And what do I mean by that? They don't know how to create lanes. And so they will comment on everything in life, anything and everything in life. And yet, when you are a person who is a business owner, an entrepreneur, a person who's trying to create visibility for your business, you're creating a lot of noise. And yes, there's a level on which, okay, you don't have to just post about your business. That is not necessary. You absolutely should post some things about life. But when you're out there picking fights with people all the time about political issues, religious issues, social issues, you're really detracting from your message. You're really detracting from it. And so there's this balance that needs to happen. There's a balance in here where, if the only reason people follow you is because you're going to post controversial political, social, religious views, then when it comes time for you to post things about your business, they're going, why? I'm not interested in any of that. I want to, be fighting over these other issues. So there's a balance that we have to be in here. And so we have certain people who have no problem picking fights all day, and they're out there and they do have a following, but they're just basically a following of people who like to fight with each other all day. And you have the other people who are so done with the fighting, who are so done with all of these things that they're just not posting at all. They're putting very, very little content out because they are just over it. They are just very much living in the land of, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to sit here and post something and then have other people sitting here going, hey, what in the world? Why am I now in a fist fight with this person? Why am I now arguing with this person? Why am I now in this massive debate? And I ended up spending 3 hours going back and forth with this person because, I'm now engaged in something that doesn't relate. So we have to find the balance. We have to be able to find the middle of the road. We have to be able to find that place where we can go and we can put content out there. We're not avoiding being visible because we don't want to face the judgment, the criticism, the attacks. But we're also not posting anything and everything under the sun just to get attention and losing the purpose and the mission. There's a middle road in there. There's a road in the middle whereby we have to be able to find where we can certainly comment on things. We can certainly express some views on things, but it can't become all about that. We have to remember that our focus is now on becoming a business owner. And this is something that I think challenges a lot of people when they first get started out, is that there are people out there that are, when they decide to start their own business, when they decide to start going down this path and having their own business and putting their own things out there, people forget the mission. And they just still think, well, I can post all about, this is what I had for lunch, and that's what, my kid did these things and this and that and all this. And it's just like, okay, I'm coming to you because I want to learn more about this because I think you might be able to help me with this. And your page is so cluttered with all of these things that don't matter to me that it's not worth it to me. I don't want to fight through and fish through all the noise to actually get to something that I could find that's helpful to me. Now, again, it's a balance. It's a balance between putting out things that are about your life and are about things that people can get to know you better, get to understand you better, get to see a little bit bigger and better of who you are and what you're about, and not losing purpose and not losing the focus of the mission. So when you become a business owner, you need to adjust what it is that you're doing. You need to understand that if you're going to be a business owner now, all of your social media cannot be about you and your family and all the activities that your family is doing. Because there's almost this delineation when you first start, is like people use social media to connect with family that are in different parts of the country, to connect with friends, and all their posts are about what they did in high school or what, we're getting together to go on vacation together. But then they start a business and now they're promoting their visibility for the business. So they're putting all their things out there. And suddenly now we're staring at all these people are going, well, I don't care about your high school friends. I don't care about you meeting up for dinner with these other people. I care about you as a service provider because that's what I'm interested in. So the balance is there. We have to work on becoming visible, but we have to learn how to take, hey, you know what? If I want to make social plans with some of my friends or family members, maybe I should send them a text message. Maybe I should send them an email. Maybe I should send them a direct message and communicate that way instead of doing my social media public posts where when I'm trying to promote my business, all these other people are going to be like, I don't care about you meeting up with this person for dinner. That's not relevant to me. It's not important to me. I remember one guy from many years ago that I just had to unfriend after a while because he thought it was important to share every meal that he ate with a picture and a description and a debate over every single food item that crossed his lips. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. This is not important to me. This is not something that I need to hear about. You go eat your lunch. I have no problem with you eating your lunch, but it does not need to be part of my life. And so I'm like, the focus isn't there. So we have to keep that in mind. As we focus on becoming visible, as we focus on doing these things, we have to learn to understand what the funnel is that now our social media is. What is that funnel? What is the thing that people are going to be following along with? And some of your family and friends are now going to have to get used to the fact that your channels are going to become more about your work. Your channel is going to become more about what it is that you're doing for your business. And if they want to get in touch with you, great, text me, email me, message me, whatever. But I need to start posting things about my business because the focus needs to be there. And I can still post some personal things. And occasionally, if you want to post something about your views on things, that's fine. But understand that you can't let that become such a distraction that takes over the noise of your account. That it becomes about fighting about issues rather than what it is that you're there to do and what it is that you're there to be involved in. Now, the next thing is that a lot of times when people become very much fearful of posting a lot of these things, and I've seen this especially when people are on stage. When people step up to the stage, when they step onto that platform, I see a transformation happen almost every time with somebody who's first getting started as a speaker. They get very, very focused on their speech. And they want their speech to be nailed down perfectly. And they practice it, and they practice it, and they practice it. And they become very conscientious on every little nuance, every little detail in their speech. And what is happening through that process is they are becoming very, very self-conscious, very, very much aware and focused on themselves. And inevitably, what ends up happening is when you do that, you become very aware of yourself. You become very focused on yourself. You become very much thinking only about you. Do I look professional? Do I sound okay? Do I come across clearly? Am I this and am I that? And it's not to say that those things are bad. I'm not saying that those things becoming, making sure that you're speaking clearly, you're not speaking too fast or too slow, that your hand gestures aren't poor and distracting and causing people to get like, why is he waving his hands all the time? This gets to be a little bit like of an issue. So it's not to say that those things aren't important and there aren't things that you can get better at and improve and you should be aware of. What I'm saying is that when you do that, you've made the speech all about you. You've made the speech all about you as the speaker. And one of the things I learned a long time ago is that when you do that, you become very nervous. You become very tense. You become very uptight. You become and your odds of making mistakes, your odds of messing up and dropping the ball and screwing up, your odds of doing that go up substantially. Why? Because you're totally focused on yourself. You are completely focused on what you're doing, all your mannerisms, all your words, all of your potential mistakes. Oh, shoot, I said that word. I was supposed to say that word. And it becomes this little bubble that you create around yourself. It becomes this little issue where you are putting everything about, it's all about you. It's all about what you're doing. It's all about, what's going on with you in the little bubble around you on the stage. And that becomes problematic. And when I see that, people lose track of the mission. people lose track of the purpose as to why they're giving the speech in the first place. You see, here's the thing. Your speech isn't about you. Your speech is about your audience. It's about the people that you are speaking to. You are there to help and to serve your audience. You are there to help them gain some wisdom, some insight, something that they can use and benefit their lives. And potentially they can then take that and use that to maybe develop a deeper connection with you as a service provider and maybe potentially work with you someday. These are all things that become very, very important. But when you are only focused on yourself, when you're only focused on your speaking, you're this, you're that, you're creating almost a sense of detachment from you and the audience. When speaking started to become much more natural for me, when speaking became much more fluid, when it became a much better experience for me, is when I shifted my focus away from myself and I put all the focus on the audience. You see, I used to have this feeling that I had to have the speech exactly right. And I would write out everything in my speech and I would have every little thing planned and prepared. And I would practice it 20 times and I would do all these things. And I do everything possible to make sure that I had everything nailed down. I knew exactly every single word that I had to use and to be a part of. And yet my speeches came across a lot more stiff. They came across a lot more rigid. What I switched to was a note card where I would essentially have an outline. And I would know that these are like the four things that I want to talk about. And I would know in my head and in my heart what I wanted to communicate with each of those points. And I looked at them as like running around a track. We all remember high school track. And the lap, there's 4 corners to the track that we would have to get around from the start. And if we did an entire lap to the finish. And that was how I started viewing my speech. I would start off with a little introduction that when we have the first turn, okay, we've introduced things a little bit. We've kind of broken the ice. We've gotten started. And now we have the first turn. That's the first point I want to talk about. And then I have another turn where I move on to the second point and the third point. And then we come around to the fourth point where we're closing and bringing it home. And when I did that, my focus went away from like, how am I standing? How am I doing this? My focus went to the audience and looked at their faces and said, am I connecting with you? Am I reaching you? Am I helping you? And the expressions on their face were very clear. The expressions on their face told me the answers. Sometimes, yes, absolutely. I can tell in that moment, I am touching them. I am moving them. They are experiencing exactly what I want them to get from this message. Other times I could see like, they're starting to look a little sleepy. They're starting to fade out a little bit. Better change gears, better change my approach a little bit. And I would immediately pull them right back in. I would immediately do that. And what ends up happening is all the pressure off of me went away. All the pressure off of me completely relaxed. I stopped worrying about perfection, of having all the words right, of having everything laid out together perfectly. I simply focused on how do I serve these people? This speech isn't about me. It's about them. How do I serve them? How do I reach them? How do I help them? And the way to do that is I have to know what their expressions are. I have to see how they're reacting to the things that I'm saying. And when I do that, when I'm putting my heart out there, I need to make sure that I'm connecting to you. My focus moves off of me and onto them. And I'm like going, okay, now I'm on target. Now I'm on track. I can see it in their face. They're getting it. They're understanding it. And if I see a confused look, okay, I need to go back and I need to re-clarify something that I just said, because whatever I said didn't quite connect. It didn't quite land with them. So I need to say that in a different way. I need to re-explain that point so that they do get it. And oh, now I see. Now they got it. Now they're understanding. And when you do that, when you shift your approach, it takes the pressure off of you. It makes it so that you can relax. It makes it so that you can take a deep breath and just give the speech and not worry about it. And then how do you build confidence through that? Well, this is something that I've talked about many times before. Confidence is built through repetition. If you want to get good at this, if you want to get really confident and able to hop on a live stream video like I'm doing here and just talk out a thing with just an outline and not worry about preparing a speech and putting it all together and just being able to take it and run and go, it's called repetition. Do it again and again and again until you've done it so many times that it just becomes natural. Until you've done it so many times that you just have that confidence. And again, think about riding a bicycle. When you first learned to ride a bicycle as a child, that first few times you got on, you're like, oh, and I remember thinking when I was very first learning how to ride a bike, I was like, you can actually stay upright and balance on this thing on these narrow little tires? That doesn't sound right. That's crazy. And yet you look around, you see people all around you doing it, and you're like, okay. And you do it for a few times until you finally learn the skill, and then it becomes second nature. You do it, you hop on that bike, you don't even think. You just go. Because of the repetition has built the confidence. So, to kind of pull all this together, to kind of wrap up everything that we've been talking about so far here today, you need to be visible for your business to succeed. People need to be able to find you. They need to have an avenue where they can discover you and learn, like, oh, wow, this is what you're doing. This is who you're about. This is the thing that you're good at. Maybe you can help me because I would love to have help with that. If no one knows you exist, no one knows to hire you either. So you have to be out there and you have to be visible. You have to put yourself out there in some way, shape, or form. Number two, you need to work through your fears in doing it. You need to be honest. Do I have something from my past where I went and was visible, where I did put a comment on someone's post and I got attacked for it, where I did give a speech and I got laughed at, where I did post some things and it more or less just picked a fight more than anything? You need to work through those issues and realize, okay, that's not the experience every time. Every time you go online, it's not going to be negative. It's not going to be bad. And you just have to learn how to pick your spots. You have to learn how to pick your lanes of what it is that you're willing to do. And if you don't want the fights, then don't pick the topics that are going to cause the fights. And focus yourself not on your feelings and on what you're doing. And if someone's going to oppose you, hey, so be it. I had somebody come on one of my live streams once, no clue who this person is, and starts commenting on the stream as we're going. And it starts making all these strange comments. I want to debate you. And I'm like, who are you? I have no concept or sense of who you even are as a person. And you're making all these strange comments. And now you think I'm going to sit here and debate you? Ignore these people. They're just wasting your time. Focus on serving the ones that you're meant to serve. Ignore the people that are just there because apparently they have nothing better to do today than to try and pick a fight with someone. Move on from them. Realize they're not worth your time. Focus on serving your audience and put yourself out there on a repeated basis so you can build that confidence, so that you can build a thicker skin, so that when those comments do come, you don't get as wounded by them. And again, how does a boxer become skilled at taking a punch? By taking punches. He gets hit enough times that eventually he learns how to absorb a hit. The same thing is going to be true for you. How do you get over being offended by people making nasty comments. You do it by getting out there and doing it again and again and again until you realize that, you know what, I just have to ignore all those things. I have to move past them and let them go. And you develop that confidence and you develop that inner strength. And it only comes by doing it. It only comes by putting yourself out there. It only comes by repeatedly putting yourself in a position where occasionally you're going to get a fiery arrow. But after a while, you learn, it's not worth my time. Ignore it and move on and stay focused on serving the people that I'm meant to serve. So I hope you found this helpful. That's it for this episode. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. If we could be of any service to you, please check out designlaunchgrow.com. We would love to help you build your business. Fill out an application. We would love to have a conversation with you. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and we will talk to you again very soon.